Okay, welcome to history. We're going to start with our map, okay, and then we'll be reading in our books. But let's say Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, New York, Massachusetts, itty bitty one, Rhode Island, right beside it, Connecticut. This one is New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the little one here, Delaware, and right beside it, Maryland. All right, now we'll start with West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Louisiana, Arkansas, and that one is Florida. Let's go on to the Midwest. North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, right below it, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and then these two pieces are both Michigan. Very good. All right, then we have Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Arizona. All right, that's all we've learned so far. All right. I had to make it smaller again. Now, open up your books to page 299. 299, we started reading and learning about Thomas Edison, and we said that he had invented the phonograph, and the first thing he recorded on it was Mary Had a Little Lamb, and he had a laboratory called Menlo Park in New Jersey. And we're going to start where it says famous invention on page 299. If you don't have that page open yet, you need to pause the video, because I am going to go ahead and start reading, and you need to be looking at the page while I read. Page 299, please. All right, famous invention. The invention most people think of when they hear the name Thomas Edison is the light bulb. Mr. Edison did not invent the light bulb, but he knew he could improve it. Fires were often started by the first light bulbs. Thomas Edison started looking for ways to keep the bulbs from catching fire and to make them stay lit longer. Thomas Edison spent months testing different materials. He never gave up. He continued to try until he found a way to make his inventions work. After 1.5 years, Thomas Edison finally found the right material to light his bulbs so that they would last longer. He set up a display around Menlo Park right before Christmas. This was the first Christmas lights display. When he turned on his lights, people from all around came to see his workshop. 2.5 years later, he set up his lights in a New York City display. All right, read at the bottom what stop and think. Thomas Edison wisely said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." All right, perspiration is another word for sweat. So that just means it takes hard work. Like in the light bulb, to improve it, it took him 1.5 years. So he just kept working and working and working until he got it right. And the second thing he said is, opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Some people seem to be afraid to do a little hard work, and they miss many opportunities being afraid to work. All right, turn the page. Family life. Well, before we read family life, let's read that Bible verse together. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Right? So don't give up, basically, is what that verse is saying. Galatians 6:9. Family life. Thomas Edison spent long hours in his workshop inventing or thinking. Sometimes he would forget to have lunch or dinner. His daughter would bring food for him to eat. Mr. Edison kept a cot in his workshop to take a short nap instead of going home to bed. In 1884, Mrs. Edison became ill and died. When Mr. Edison later decided to marry again, His new wife, Mina, or Mina, I'm not sure how you would say that. I'm going to say Mina though, enjoyed Morse code as well. Thomas Edison tapped the code, "Will you marry me?" into her hand, and she tapped her reply, "Yes." Remember that Morse code is made up of little dots and dashes. Dots are fast, dashes are a little bit longer. After the two were married, Mrs. Edison loved to have large parties and entertain guests. She was in charge of all the holidays except for one, the 4th of July. This was Mr. Edison's favorite holiday. He woke the family early in the morning with fireworks he made himself. Then the family ended the day with another fireworks show. More inventions. Thomas Edison moved his business to the town of West Orange, New Jersey. The new building was much larger. More than 10,000 people worked there on Mr. Edison's inventions. All right, by the way, before I continue reading, that picture there is the Edison National Historic Site in West Orange. Mr. Edison also experimented with photography. He made the first moving pictures or movies. Right? So you guys are very familiar with movies. Well, he's the one that invented that. The first movies did not have any sound, could only be viewed by one person at a time, and were only a few seconds long. With more improvements to the design, the movies became longer. Thomas Edison's company filmed Annie Oakley, a famous sharpshooter, doing an entire Western show. All right, so a sharpshooter, she would shoot a gun and she had really good aim, and she would do tricks to show people how good her aim was. Annie Oakley, very famous. The battery was the invention that brought Thomas Edison the most success. He tried more than 10,000 experiments before he was satisfied. When someone asked Mr. Edison if he failed, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's a good attitude, isn't it? During his lifetime, Thomas Edison applied for 1,093 patents, which are special licenses that protect an invention so others cannot copy it. Remember, if you don't have a patent, then somebody could steal your idea and steal it as their own. Mr. Edison's ideas made the lives of Americans much better in many ways, lighting their streets and homes, and bringing them many other fascinating inventions. But even beyond all his inventions, Thomas Edison showed the world what a person could accomplish by never giving up. Right? So those pictures are pictures of light bulbs, like he would have invented. That first design has actually come back into popularity. Lots of people like to buy what's called the Edison light bulb. It looks very old-fashioned. It's come into style again. All right, answer these with me. What code uses dots and dashes to send a message? Morse code, named after Samuel Morse. Okay, and Morse would be capitalized because it is named after his last name, Morse. What was the name of the two-story laboratory Thomas Edison built? Menlo Park. M-E-N-L-O, Menlo Park. And that would also, Menlo and Park are both capitalized because it is the proper name for it. Name the invention Thomas Edison made to record a voice. It was called the phonograph. And remember, the first thing he recorded was Mary Had a Little Lamb. Phonograph. What invention is Thomas Edison best known for, even though he did not invent it? It was the one that many of you already knew. When I said Thomas Edison, you thought of the light bulb. Very good. Name one way Thomas Edison improved light bulbs. All right, there were two things. One was he made it where they didn't catch on fire. And the second was he made them where they would stay lit longer. Okay, remember light bulbs burn out, and they used to burn out pretty quickly. It wouldn't last long enough to make it worth. People that were not rich couldn't have them because they burned out too fast. You'd have to buy a new one. All right, what invention brought Thomas Edison the most success, even though he had to experiment 10,000 times to make it work? Battery. He invented the battery. And what type of license does not allow others to copy your inventions? Patent. P-A-T-E-N-T. Patent. Okay, very good. Next time we're going to be reading about Alexander Graham Bell. All right, see you for science next.